Someone told me a story this weekend, and it had a powerful impact on me, so I'm going to share it here. This woman was in an Ivy League college, and she was in a doctoral program, doing relatively well, but she was experiencing some emotional traumas. And it was these emotional traumas that caused her to end up withdrawing from the program. The person asked me some questions about, I guess, what I thought about the situation. And the young woman, she's about 24, 25, so early to mid-20s, obviously very responsible, because in order to get into an Ivy League school, at a young age, you've got to have a measure of maturity, focus, drive, discipline. Those are the things that are required in order to get into a school like that. However, she was experiencing some setbacks from her family, taking care of other people's children and things of that nature. And it was that emotional pull that caused her to withdraw from the program. Now, a doctoral program is usually about 5 years. It's usually pretty intensive, and obviously it requires a tremendous workload and amount of work, especially when you're preparing for your dissertation, which is essentially writing a book. And so I gave my thoughts on this, and it was as follows. And my thoughts are specifically because when I was young, I was also someone who had a tremendous amount of responsibility, focus, discipline, drive, and yet the family support was lacking. And the reason I'm sharing this is because sometimes in our life we will experience painful choices that we have to make. And the choices, I say today, it's always between you and you. Back then it was between me and them. But today I realize it's a little different. And I told her the story of a difficult choice that I had to make when I was a teenager. And it required that I step into a space where I really had to show me how much I loved me and not allowing others to take advantage of me or to manipulate my time. And I explained to her that she's still young, and her decision to take on other people's children during a time frame when she really needs that time for herself, it is a choice. We always have a choice. A choice that involves our family, our friends, people close to us. When it involves us saying no to them, it's not an easy choice. It's a very difficult choice, especially the younger you are. It gets easier as you get older, but when you're young, you're still very much attached to your family and to the love that you desire. When your family puts upon you, you could call it unfair, unwielding demands. It is still up to the individual to say no. I am working on this project in my life. I would if I could, but I don't have the time right now. I cannot. When we allow ourselves to fall prey to that kind of energy, we are doing ourselves a great disservice. It's the kind of thing that feels as if you are almost like you're tangled in a spider web that's sticky, and so you're trapped in this spider web. but you have the capacity to break through it. But it takes so much energy and so much work. And it's hard and it's painful. And sometimes we decide, okay, I'm not going to do it. And then we continue in our lives in a space where we feel bad for ourselves. We feel taken advantage of, manipulated, like a doormat. And that lets us know that we probably should have made a different choice or a different decision. Well, tomorrow is a new day. And so at any moment, we can make those boundaries between ourselves and our loved ones, or ourselves and our friendships, anyone who may make unreasonable demands of our time. This is part of adulthood. And it starts even as a teenager. As much of my growth and development, maturity-wise, started when I was a teenager and then moved into adulthood. But these things are never easy to embrace. It's never easy or simple. It is a decision. It is a concerted effort to decide that I'm going to love myself enough and care for my own time, just like other people care for their time. I'm going to care for my own time enough to say no. And it could be no to other people. It could be no to friends. It could be no to family members that you love dearly. It could be no at your job. If you feel that you're working outside of your job description and there are people making unreasonable demands on your time, this is the time to learn to speak up. And it's never easy. In the beginning, it's never easy. But the interesting thing is, the more you do something, the easier it becomes. It's like walking. If you watch a little 1-year-old learning to walk, they fall down hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. They never get discouraged. They just fall and they get up, and they fall and they get up, and they fall and they get up, and they fall and they get. But when we do things like that, we shame ourselves for falling instead of just getting up and trying again. So when it comes to finding your voice, learning to speak up for yourself, learning to advocate for yourself, learning to advocate for your kids, learning how to say no to others, learning how to protect your time, learning how to create boundaries, learning how to demand the respect that you deserve. These are all skill sets that take cultivation. It takes time and cultivation. It may not be an easy path, but it certainly is a rewarding one. So I just want to record this story for anyone who may need a little encouragement at this time, because I have been there and I remember that it was extremely difficult. But the first time I spoke up for myself was the hardest. The second time, I reminded myself, well, I've done this before. It was still hard. The third time, still hard, but not as hard as the other two. And it progressively gets easier to the point where now it doesn't bother me at all and I don't care at all, because there's been so much practice. And that's all it takes. It just takes practice, and it takes a little bit of discipline for you to keep practicing, but you are the one that stands to benefit. Are you not? You will benefit from finding your voice. You will benefit for advocating for yourself, and you never have to worry about any family or friends that you may lose. No one wants to lose those things, but sometimes that's just a reality. You will always have a replacement. Mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, There will always be replacements out there for you, if it comes to that. Most of the time, you just have to create boundaries so that people understand how you expect to be treated. 9 times out of 10, that's all it amounts to. And although it is very scary and daunting in the beginning, you are worth it. You are worth investing time in yourself. Time to develop yourself in the way in which you'd like. Time to heal emotionally from childhood traumas. Sometimes we just need that space, and we need to create that space. It's a deliberate action, and we have to do it over and over and over again until we get good at it, and we will get good at it as long as we keep taking that deliberate action. So when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child. But now that I'm an adult, I have to leave those childlike ways behind me. There is no difference in how you behave the day before your 18th birthday or the day after your 18th birthday. There's no difference in emotional traumas the day before your 21st birthday or the day after your 21st birthday. That means that whatever issues you have had as a child will carry forth into adulthood, unquestionably. They do not disappear on your birthday. You don't turn into a whole new person overnight. That takes time and cultivation in order to step into the greater part of yourself that's dying to get out. And you know it because you can feel it. But it's hard to allow it. If we don't allow it, it will eat us alive. So it's almost like a requirement. Why put yourself through any more unnecessary pain? It's not necessary because you're no longer a child. You're now an adult. And now it's time to step into that adult role when it comes to how we communicate with our family, with our friends, with others. So just a reminder, because this pertains to how we heal in our everyday lives and how we heal from past traumas. No one can do it for us. We're the only person that can heal our own emotional wounds. So take the time to appreciate yourself, to think about how far you've come in life, to show gratitude for the journey that you've experienced, as well as for the journey ahead of you. And just reflecting on some of the things you've escaped and overcome in your life can help you and to remind you how strong you already are. And when you're reminded of how far you've already come and how much strength you already have, that can help a little bit in terms of squeezing you through the next challenge, squeezing you through to the next better aspect of yourself, and becoming that voice for yourself. Just a reminder, we all have that greatness within. We just have to open up our heart enough to let it out. Have a good week.